Welcome back, trainers. So we're going to be evolving my lucky Croagunk that I received in a trade yesterday for the Ultra League because I currently have one in the Great League and it performs magnificently. Now, we're going to be looking at some battles too, going up against my friend here. Now, ideally, in this situation, up against a Muck, having Mud Bomb would have just been great, but I didn't want to invest in any TMs currently. Anyways, we're going to go on to look at its stats and as well as take a look at the battles leading up to me getting my gold badge in the Ultra League. I also put the Toxicroak up against an Alakazam just to see how well it can stand up against its Psycho Cut, and it still was losing health extremely fast. Even though that Psycho Cut doesn't do much damage, it is going to be 4 times weak being fighting and poison type. We're going to get into those stats here in a moment. So enjoy those battles, and let's go ahead and talk about this while we power up and evolve the Croagunk into Toxicroak here. Okay, so here we go. This thing just looks so awesome. One of my favorite fighting type Pokemon, mixed with another favorite of mine, which is going to be poison type. It's going to be taking reduced fighting damage. So this is something you may want to even consider going into the Boulder Cup. This isn't a tutorial on which Pokemon you should pick, but we're just going to be going over Toxicroak in general because it's newer and we're getting into that Ultra League. So it's going to be a poison and fighting type, as you can see. Max CP 2488, attack 211, defense 133, and stamina 195. So it has a decent attack, and its stamina is okay. And from my experience using it, I'm going to tell you this: if you're in a bad spot going up against a flying or possibly psychic type Pokemon, you're not going to be doing too well, or even a ground type, right? Let's go over the weaknesses, but it's still going to perform quite nicely. I mean, really does. So it's going to be weak to flying, ground, and then quite weak to psychic, as you can see there. Resisting bug, dark, fighting, grass, poison, and rock. Okay, so if you did bring it to the Boulder Cup tournament, you will be able to dish out neutral damage to those fighting type Pokemon, unless you're going up against Machamp, of course, which you more than likely will be. And in that case, you better look out for that Psycho Cut because it's going to hurt you quite a bit. But if you're going up against any other fighting type Pokemon, you will be taking reduced damage. All right. Counter and Poison Jab. Now, I was using Poison Jab for quite some time. Now, these are the quick moves, of course. And I'm going to say you're probably going to want to go with Counter. When I went into the tournament, there was one situation where I went up against a Gardevoir where it helped me there. But for mostly any other situation, you're going to be wanting Counter because of the amount of damage it's dealing. Even if you're dealing not a very effective damage, it's still going to be doing okay. If you're going up against a Gengar or something, I mean, that's not going to really help you out. Neither is Poison Jab. Then it's going to have Sludge Bomb, Dynamic Punch, and then Mud Bomb. So there's that Mud Bomb. I really recommend you might want to go with that, and as well as Dynamic Punch, and you should be all set. So this is a good Pokemon. Has a great moveset. As far as what can you do with the resistances here, you have that Dark and Rock. Mostly what I'm thinking about here is Tyranitar, because if you've ever been up against that thing, you can take it down fairly quick with fighting moves. But it's also going to destroy you if it has Bite. Doesn't matter if you're resisting it, it's still doing a ton of damage. Fighting types are going to help you for sure because it's not very effective there, but you better look out. Toxicroak is going to be fantastic because even if it has a Bite, Rock Throw, Stone Edge, Crunch, whatever, I mean, if it has Fire Blast, good luck trying to get that off and going up against a Toxicroak and surviving and not using your shields. But you see where I'm going at here. And then you have those Venusaur, which you're actually going to be able to do the Sludge Bomb, neutral damage, and if you wanted to do Mud Bomb, I suppose, but, that depends on what moveset you have going on there. And then you have that Grass type there. If you go up against a Breloom and you have Poison moves, you're going to be dealing super effective damage to that Grass type there. So that's another thing to consider. Alright, so now I'm going to shift over to the battle here, and in comes his Pinsir. Now, he has one Pokemon, one shield. More than likely, he's going to use that shield right about now. You would want to do Sludge Bomb ideally over Dynamic Punch up against a Pinsir because fighting is not going to be very effective. But I made a huge mistake, and I was trying to push the limits to see, let's see if I can actually take this out with Dynamic Punch. And, yeah, no bueno. Not quite. Pinsir's actually a little beast there for sure. Anyways, Toxicroak, fantastic Pokemon. And here is my Toxicroak collection. Quite proud of this. So this one right here is a decent IV. And it does have a secondary move purchased, and as well as this one, as we've seen earlier. So I'm quite dedicated to this Pokemon. If it wasn't that great, obviously I wouldn't be investing in it like this. So hopefully this gives you an idea, and if you're skeptical, I mean, hey, that's fine. Just wait until you use it. but don't use it in a bad situation and say, oh, this thing sucks. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the IVs of these Toxicroak and then do a little comparing to a Machamp to see how well it stacks up. And I'm just going to tell you now, it is a little bit better as far as damage goes, okay? So this one is a 93%, 15 attack, 14 defense, and then 13 stamina, sitting at 31.5 DPS. And then for PvP, we're at 8.3. So that is a new feature here for the Calci IV, and this is what I'm using to get this information. And there is the Ultra League one. If you're wondering, are you afraid you're going to get banned? Well, I mean, this is an educational tool. I'm not doing something horrible here. You know, it's an overlay, and it just tells you the exact numbers, right? So all of you can see it, save you time, energy, effort, and possibly investing in the wrong one. Who knows, right? So as you can see, this one in the Ultra League isn't the best. Yeah, 75%, 76 technically. And that one is sitting at 25.8 DPS, and for PvP, 6.5. And both of these are calculated with Dynamic Punch and Counter, okay? Being its strongest moveset. Now, before we compare Toxicroak to Machamp, there's something to also take note of, is that Toxicroak CP does not reach the highest potential that Machamp's does, which is going to make it more ideal for the Ultra and Great League because the damage output is just magnificent, while Machamp is not going to be able to reach its peak potential because it's still at its lower level. It's still going to be great, don't get me wrong, Machamp is fantastic, right? But do you see where I'm coming from? Much like Medicham, how it fits into the Great League so perfectly, because when you max it out, even at a 100% IV, like the one I have as well, you're not going to surpass that CP cap for that specific league. At the same time, it's completely maxed out, so it's going to have a lot more potential. All right, so here we go with the Machamp, level 28.5 at a 91%, 15, 12, 14. DPS 32.6, and the Toxicroak is at 31.5. And then we have for PvP, the important part, 8.2, and Toxicroak is sitting at 8.3, higher. All right, and I still have a lot more to go. When I max out that Toxicroak, it's going to be 2468, and it's going to be doing a lot more damage. Machamp has reached its peak potential, while Toxicroak can still be powered up until it's completely maxed out and still do more damage. While Machamp is stuck at 8.2, I mean, you might be able to get higher if you had lower defense, but when you're in PvP, like I said, IVs don't really matter. All right, but anyways, so can you see what we're dealing with here? The CP is exactly what matters. So when people are saying the lower the IV, the better, I think they're onto something, yeah. And with that said, trainers, I would like to give a big shout out to #1 fan Dan and anybody else who battles me continuously. Much appreciated. With that said, trainers, thank you for watching, and I'll be catching you all next time.